Before we start, YouTube analytics show that 95% of you aren't subscribed. So before we do start, please press that red button down below. It helps out a lot. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back. In this one today, we're going to be doing another top 5 zombies video. Now, for this one, we're going to be doing the top 5 worst LMGs in COD Zombies. Now, as always, we have to include criteria for when we do the weapons. And the criteria for this video is going to be the ammo, the damage, the ease of use, the accessibility, and then the overall points generation. Now, with all that out of the way with, let's just jump right into it. Coming in at our number 5 spot, we have the HK-21 from Black Ops 1. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that most LMGs in zombies aren't super bad, and you will see that for these first 2 guns that we're going to discuss, they aren't ones that I particularly hate, but they do underperform compared to most other LMGs in zombies, so they do have to be included on the list. For the first gun, the HK-21, this LMG has one major issue, and that's the ease of use. This LMG is very clunky and slow to both move around with, but also very bad when it comes to the rate of fire as well. It's one of the slowest shooting LMGs when it comes to zombies, which does also hurt its point generation as well. But this LMG isn't all too bad. The horrible fire rate can be fixed by attaining double tap in Black Ops 1. Some other things that I do like about this gun is the large amount of ammo and damage that this gun deals. The ammo is much better than most other LMGs in COD Zombies, and the damage is very, very solid as well. It's not better than some of the best LMGs, but it still is very solid. One more thing that I will like to add on to this weapon is the accessibility. It's obviously only a box weapon, so it's not that easy to get compared to other LMGs like the BRM or the LSAT. Overall, the HK-21 isn't a bad LMG. I would even say it's up there with some of the better weapons in COD Zombies, but unfortunately, you have so many better options when it comes to LMGs that the HK-21 just doesn't feel worth it. So for that, it's coming in at our number 5 spot. Now, coming into our number 4 spot, we have the M60 from Black Ops Cold War. Again, this LMG isn't particularly a bad weapon. There are just so many better LMGs and guns that outclass the M60. It's a very similar problem to the HK-21, where the ease of use is just really bad compared to the other LMGs. With Cold War system, you could adjust all the attachments to make this gun feel more comfortable, but even then, it still doesn't feel good to run around with or aim down sights, regardless of what attachments you put on it. The fire rate is a little bit faster than the HK-21, which does make the points a little bit better for this weapon, and the ammo and accessibility isn't too much of a problem on Cold War Zombies, so we mainly have to take away a lot of the points for the ease of use and the damage. Now, granted, compared to other guns, especially on Cold War, the M60 isn't too bad, but there are so many better options on this game. If you were to carry over LMGs from other games into Cold War systems, I think most other LMGs would outclass this gun. Overall, very similar case to the HK-21, where it isn't a bad gun in particular, but it isn't one of the best either. So for that, the M60 is coming in at our number 4 spot. Moving into our number 3 spot, we have the 48 Dredge. Now, we are actually moving into the LMGs and zombies that aren't really that good. The 48 Dredge, don't get me wrong, it does deal a lot of damage and it does have a decent fire rate for points. The big issue is once again the ease of use. This gun is a 6-round burst weapon, which hasn't been seen in zombies before, and it just feels weird to use. Whenever you want to shoot 1 bullet, you have to fully commit and shoot all 6, which can put you into a bad scenario because you won't be able to move around quickly while shooting with pretty much every other LMG that's possible to do. But with this gun, it's really not, because you have to wait for the 6-round burst to fully go out of the chamber, which does really suck. Not only is the 6-round burst kind of annoying to deal with, but the 48 Dredge is also very annoying to move around with and reload. I think it takes a little more than 8 seconds to reload this gun when it's out of ammo without speed cola, which does make it very underwhelming. Not only is the ease of use bad, but the accessibility isn't much better. You can only get this weapon out of the box, which usually isn't too concerning with other LMGs and zombies, because most LMGs are box weapons, but the ones that usually are make up for having a large amount of ammo and damage and a good fire rate like the Dingo or the MG08. But the 48 Dredge, it's just a gun you always skip over, mainly because you don't want to have a burst weapon when playing zombies. Overall, this gun does suffer a lot because of its awful burst fire system, even though the rest of its stats are relatively good and on par with basic LMGs. The horrible ease of use with this gun makes it one of the worst, which is why it's coming in at our number 3 spot. Now coming into our number 2 spot is the Gorgon. Now it's been a reoccurring problem with most LMGs on this list that the ease of use for most of these guns are really bad compared to most weapons in zombies, and the Gorgon is no different. This gun once again is very heavy and clunky to move around with. Not only that, but the gun shoots slower than the HK21 and does a little bit more damage, making it horrible for killing zombies and even worse for getting points. Most LMGs up until now I would use if I had no other option, and I wouldn't be upset because each of them would serve some sort of use, but the Gorgon is just a bad gun. And I do know that the damage is high and in the later rounds it can hold up, but I'd much rather have something that's more comforting to use and releases more firepower like a Dingo. The Gorgon is just way too slow to use in the early rounds, and in the later rounds, it's not much better, and you most likely will be using a wonder weapon or a different high-powering gun, so it doesn't really serve much of a purpose. One positive thing I will say about this weapon is the ammo. This is common for most LMGs, but the Gorgon does have a lot of ammo, and with the super low fire rate, it does seem like you're never going to run out of ammo with this weapon. Overall, the Gorgon is by far one of the most uncomfortable LMGs to use with its low fire rate, long reload, and overall clunky feel. It doesn't serve a purpose with its high damage because there are so many better weapons to use and more comfortable weapons to use besides this LMG. The only redeeming factor is the ammo, which for LMGs isn't really that impressive, so for that, I'm going to be putting it at our number 2 spot. And coming into our number 1 spot for the worst LMG in COD Zombies, we have the VKM. Now, this LMG is not just an underwhelming weapon compared to many others that are in zombies. No, this one is just straight up bad. First of all, we have to point out the unique effect of this weapon, which is kind of its weakness at the same time, being the explosive ammunition rounds once you get it pack-a-punched. Not only does it deal damage to yourself if you're nearby shooting point blank at a zombie, but it also messes up the headshot multiplier, making this weapon very inconsistent. It also shoots as fast as the Gorgon, but does less damage, making it worthless when it's not pack-a-punched, and then a whole lot worse whenever it is pack-a-punched. The ammo's okay for this weapon, that's its only redeeming factor, but for the damage, the ease of use, and the accessibility, it's just horrible compared to every other LMG in zombies. So for that, it is definitely deserving of the number 1 spot. Anyways guys, if you did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, do all that. Leave your comments down below if you want to see me do any other type of content. Check out the description as well for other types of zombies videos. And yeah, I got nothing much else to say, so peace.